Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth, its sacrament, and service, its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Amen. Well, Creator, may I address you this informally? It has been a cold and rainy few weeks. We dared to put away our winter coats. We have put small native plants into the ground over at church. We have collected food for hungry neighbors, gone through our closets for shirts, jackets, hats, to give those away too. Why in this world is there always too much for some and not enough for others? Why are we comfortable with this? Why are we as well behaved as we are? A book I read this week reminds us that there is bottled up rage. Bottled up rage, yes. And too much fake smiling, nervousness around excess of feeling, judgment when intensity, raucous laughter, too much irreverence, tears, threaten to destabilize the shaky ramparts of polite society. But, we might ask, who defines polite? And who defined society? We arrive at May, the season that so offended the Puritans. They exiled Thomas Morton for encouraging maypole dancing. For shame, merriment. For shame, liberation. For shame, freedom in the mind and the body. The azaleas will burst forth purple anyway. The daffodils will and do dance. They don't care. Ravens will shriek and laugh, as will women when they gather in groups, with shining eyes and impolite, flying ideas and plans. An angry, rejected man will plan to kill one or all of them. Crowds of black and brown people will meet outdoors at the cookout, with fiesta music blaring, voices, bodies rejoicing, dancing. Someone will call the police to report them. Someone will die in the process of being unnecessarily arrested. Lovers of all and no gender, all skin colors, sizes, and ages will lie down together and worship through all the senses, transcending language, communion of body being. Someone will hate them for this, will commit violence against them, or slither into the halls of Congress to enact policies to control and persecute them. O Creator, it is May, the season for bursting forth. We witness this and we know, in the soul that abides within us as a bud, that what must burst most beautifully from us is wilder, is freer, is delightedly defiant, is more fully alive than we have ever been allowed to be. We are in an apocalyptic time. Apocalypse is a word that means a revelation of what has been formerly hidden or veiled. We begin to realize that what has been hidden has been obscured very intentionally in order to maintain power structures, in order that people may continue to exclude and exploit others and the earth. This revelation of hard truths, mostly lately due to technology that allows people to record right where they are in the moment and share it with the world, has been ugly and shocking to some, but for others it's been a relief. See, they say, we've been trying to tell you all along what it's like for us. Meanwhile, our habits of consumption and our treatment of our earth lead our planet to also reveal that this relationship has serious consequences, human and planet. It is painful to look that reality in the eye, too. So we're called upon to be brave and wise and strong, all of us, present to the truth, so that our world can continue on some kind of path guided by an ethos of far more fairness than has previously been available to too many. It is the prophets, always, who stand the most loudly among the human community to clang an alarm of attention and command our ear. Listen, they say. Heed. We are in trouble. Or in ancient prophetic language, God is displeased with us. Now, as it has always been, some people will stand respectfully to hear and consider the prophetic word and to mobilize in response. And others throw garbage, laugh at, arrest, or even kill the prophet. Even knowing that, I want to frame this conversation we're having as one about the prophetic tradition. I want to tell you, in a kind of a paraphrase of a slogan I've long appreciated, which goes, well-behaved women rarely make history. People who prioritize nice manners over truth-telling and confrontation rarely change history. In one of my favorite musicals, Into the Woods, by Stephen Sondheim, a group of characters from various unrelated folk and fairy tales collide in a series of adventures and misadventures in an archetypal wood. Could be anywhere. Little Red Riding Hood is there, and Rapunzel and Jack of Beanstalk fame, and the baker and his wife who so badly want a child, and of course there is a witch. In the second act, when there is a raging giantess loose in the land and stomping people to death, the characters turn on each other, each blaming the other in frantic musical phrases for the calamity that they all face. It's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, they sing. And finally the witch breaks in and shushes them in song. And in her song, Last Midnight, the witch plays a prophetic role for this group of frightened, threatened characters who have turned against each other. She sings, "You're so nice. You're not good, you're not bad, you're just nice. I'm not good, I'm not nice, I'm just right. I'm the witch. You're the world." The witch, speaking prophetically, identifies niceness as the least moral position one can take. And she's right. Goodness is an actual virtue and requires effort. Even badness is clear, but niceness is never clear, and it is not really a virtue. What it is actually is a survival skill that requires one to conform to expectations or norms of the surrounding community or situation in order to not be negatively judged or targeted. One can be perfectly nice and still harbor vile thoughts even within the moment one is behaving so nicely. For that reason, we need not hold up niceness as our ideal in these times. Any Nazi can learn how to ballroom dance without stepping on toes. Bigots can be the most charming folks. Niceness is a facade. Goodness has actual meaning and requires sacrifice. And goodness, righteousness, and God make demands on us. In this moment, when we question the cost of niceness and what we call civility, the root word of which, of course, is civis or citizen. It seems important to note that when that word came into being, only property-owning men were considered such. It matters very much today that we know that those original citizens, those property-owning men, often owned other human beings as property. When civility is invoked, I always ask myself, whose definition of civilized are we relying on here? Whose norms are being enforced, and why? What is this disruption of civility about? Who is supposedly causing it? And what are the assumptions generally being made by those who shape the opinions and perspectives in this context about the so-called disruptors? Question, question, question. That's so rude. Well, people's civil liberties are at stake. We've got to be willing to be rude, at least. Another one I've heard a lot. You won't get people on your side by being uncivil. Those people were never willing to be on that side in the first place, and niceness has not worked. It hasn't worked. People are no longer willing to beg for their lives and their equalities anymore. The other day I was talking to a white man, a lawyer actually, who used the expression spirit animal to refer to a Sasquatch stuffed figure that he had in his office. He said, "Oh, that's my spirit animal." And I said, you know, indigenous people have asked white people to stop making a joke of that concept because a spirit animal in indigenous traditions is an important religious idea. And this man responded, well, all religions are made up, so I don't really feel like I don't think it hurts to make light of them. And I said, you aren't the one who gets to make that decision. Someone who does get to make that decision has told us that we are hurting. And secondly, every foundational concept in Western civilization is made up, including the law. Author Alex Zamelin, in his book Against Civility, the Hidden Racism in Our Obsession with Civility, challenges us to think about what kind of viewpoints we are leaving to fester and take root in our society, our communities, and our families when we remain neutrally open to all positions. This has been a real value of the liberal left, and it isn't working. Zamelin bluntly states that the greatest beneficiary of this bland tolerance has not been the progressive left, but in fact the reactionary right. When no one has wanted to look mean or, God forbid, intolerant for saying, that idea is garbage and you're a bad person for propagating it, they have avoided a skirmish at someone else's expense down the road. I'm not counseling belligerence and fisticuffs, but for all to build emotional muscles that will allow us to sit with discomfort, because comfort, after all, is never a source of moral evolution. Developing a tolerance for discomfort allows us to avoid centering ourselves when doing justice work or when engaged in the spiritual practice of deep listening. It cures us of the need to jump in during important moments of painful revelation to reassure everyone present that we are really nice people, We are the nice ones. We are not like those bad racists or those terrible homophobic people or those sexist bigots. The niceness interferes with revelation, and the veil comes back down and obscures the truth. How many times have all of us seen important conversations brought to a halt or derailed by someone who had to pipe up, "I walked with Dr. King in the 1960s. I couldn't possibly be racist." Or, "I'm hearing every woman in this room share stories of being objectified and threatened with sexual harassment or violence, but I'm not like that. I've never been like that." What a glory day it will be when we can move beyond concerns about our own perceived goodness to a lived commitment to respect, equality, and safety for all. Alex Zamelin makes a helpful distinction when he says that civility around the dinner table or in the neighborhood is a beautiful value, much to be desired. The word civility in this context, he writes, suggests warmth and affection, forgiveness and humility, and good manners, things to which we should aspire. But, he continues, politics isn't everyday life. Politics is, among other things, a community distributing socioeconomic resources and making determinations about whose lives matter and whose don't. It is an arena of power and struggle. In that arena, we need to ask ourselves, does civility take us closer to our goal of liberation for all people? And this is me talking now. The answer is no. No, it never will. Nothing has ever changed because a group of people were nice when they had an opportunity to speak truth to power, or truth to denial, or truth to those who were wholly committed to their own comfort. As Cornel West said, and we are fond of quoting around here, justice is what love looks like in public. I might add that love doesn't always look polite in that case, and it isn't always well behaved. It can't be if it's going to get anything done. So shall we carry on trying to get things done with our partners, with our prophetic guides, past and present, fighting good fights with strength, clarity, and righteousness.